What's up, everyone? It's Q from Retro Q Gaming, and I just want to, in this video, I just want to go over my thoughts and opinions of the Final Fantasy 15 episode Duscae demo, which also may be pronounced episode Duscae because AE is generally pronounced as a Y, but I'm just going to call it Duscae because I'm lazy like that. So, really quick, a couple of people were asking me if I was going to put up an unboxing for my PS4 collector's edition of Type 0 HD. Now, I'm not going to. I told them I wasn't going to because I never really planned on doing unboxings. I might graduate to it in the future. I don't have a good setup for anything like that. And my previous one, which was just completely impromptu, and as you can probably tell, the video quality and the setup was questionable at best. So I'm not going to bother with that for now. I might bring them in the future. But if you are interested in seeing a collector's edition of Type 0 Unboxed, I'd suggest going over to Alpha Omega Sin. He has a YouTube channel, and he has an unboxing for it on his channel. Now, I haven't seen his video on it personally because I had my own copy of it, so I didn't need to watch it. But if it's anything like any of his other videos, it's definitely going to be good, and it's definitely going to be worth a watch. So if you're interested in that, go check out Alpha Omega Sin's YouTube channel and check out that video. Now, so the Final Fantasy 15 episode Duscae demo. Jesus Christ, I'm all over the place with it now. Now that it's been in my head. But yeah, the demo. So, what it is, it's a section of Final Fantasy 15 that it's going to introduce you to a lot of different systems, like combat systems. You know, the menus, the party system, the tech system, the summon system. You've got the camp / level up / food system. So there's a good bit of stuff in there that it encompasses in the overall demo. So the first thing, pretty much straight away, is you get the combat demo. Oh, well, you know, the movement demo, and then you get the combat demo. Now, the combat demo, this is where some of it became apparent. I'll get to it why now in a minute. It won't take too long. But straight up, you're given a one-on-one tutorial with one of your party members to introduce you to the combat system. Now, unlike previous Final Fantasy games, which are all turn-based, this one is kind of more of a it's like a hack and slash free flow battle system kind of thing. Now, for those of you who may remember Final Fantasy Final Fantasy Versus 13, which was originally 15 when it was first announced, and the first gameplay trailers and all were shown off, and you had situations like it showed the combat fighting a behemoth in a city. It was a bunch of other stuff in a city, and you know, it was just fighting other stuff in a city. Now, this is way back 9 years ago or so, but obviously a lot's changed. But back then, the combat didn't look too bad. I mean, I'm not really a fan of hack and slash anymore. I kind of got bored of it a few years ago, and I just haven't really paid attention. I don't really consider them bad games or bad combat styles. They're generally, the rest of the games that they fit into doesn't suit me. So I started playing this, and I knew what I was going into combat-wise. And after we'd seen the Final Fantasy 15 re-reveal at E3 when it was changed from Versus 13 to 15, and they showed off a lot of the new combat system and the changes, the warps and the techs and all that stuff that was brought in. So I knew what I was going into. But it's in practice, at least in the demo, it's absolutely awful. It's one of the worst combat systems I've ever used, and you know, I don't throw that around lightly. I'm very critical and analytical about the gameplay systems in general, rather than not specifically ones in this game, not specifically ones in games I do like or don't like. But it's very, very, very hard to justify any use of this. Now, I realize this is a demo, and a lot of stuff is subject to change, or maybe it's just not finished. So that could go who knows, it could go anywhere once the actual game releases. Now, part of the combat system as well that really kind of it warrants mention in the same breath is the targeting system is absolutely atrocious. That needs to be fixed, Square Enix. I don't care if you bring in a lock-on system with a I don't know, a tab cycle, something like that, but the way it is currently is absolutely dire. Please do something about it. I don't know if you have the plans to change it, or the plans to improve it, or the plans to, I don't know, finally finish it, but Jesus Christ, do fucking something about it. I mean, it's the situation, oh my god, the state it's in now is absolutely dire, and I'm really worried about the finished product if the combat stays very similar to what it is now. I would most likely not finish the game. It would probably be the first main Final Fantasy game I haven't finished. Or, you know, hell, I finished even a lot of the offshoots, but it would be the first main one I haven't finished if the combat stays similar. I won't just say it stays like this, but even if it stays very similar to this, I have very, very, very troublesome outlook on it. So we'll put this one in. This one kind of will be the transition between the combat and the next one, which will be the performance side of it. But it has its roots in the combat system, but it has roots in the performance system, which is why it's gonna be in here. But you mainly in Final Fantasy 15 you can like warp attack and stuff like that. You hold R1, you press X to warp in and attack, and then you can start your combos. Now, usually to do combos, it's very simple. Unfortunately, you hold square. That's the basic version of it. You hold square. Noctis will just continue comboing as much as possible. If the enemy kind of backs up a little bit out of range, he will auto adjust to a different weapon and do a different attack to close in range, and then switch back to his sword automatically to just continue his combo. Now that's, like I said, that's the basic version of it. It's a bit more to it than that, but that's the general gist of it. There's also techniques, and these use MP, which, you know, is fair enough. MP is going to be used for something. It's basically like magic. But the problem is, and here's where it meets over with the performance aspect of it, is even on one-on-one combat in a relatively enclosed area with, you know, fair enough, I mean, you could still be fighting out in the open, but there'd be no other enemies or NPCs or anything like that. So even in one-on-one combat, as soon as you press triangle, I played on the PS4 by the way, as soon as you press triangle and initiate a tech, the frame rate crawls to single digits, low single digits. Not that there's much of a difference between high and low single digits, it's all awful. But it just goes, and it really makes a lot of the stuff during even bigger combat battles, it makes it very flow breaking, very hard to get into, and it really has a negative effect on it. Now, because this is the transition to the performance side of it, is once I found out about this the other day, once I was playing the demo, I spent a good bit of time with the demo now. I haven't completely finished it, but I've got a lot of side stuff done and a lot of the bonus stuff done, and I just haven't completed the end of it yet. So I feel like I have a relative amount of experience in it. But I took online to completely batter Square Enix for what this was, because what they'd shown off and what they had predicted and promised. And then I found out that on March 17th, March 17th was the release date in America. So they released a statement to say the engine wasn't finished. Now that was important, because if the engine isn't finished, it's not indicative of the performance of the final product. So not only is the engine not finished, the optimization isn't finished too, because they pretty much go hand in hand. So I cut them the benefit of the doubt on that. But the problem is, when you look at where the engine is now, depending on how long it can take them to finish the game, there might be issues. The demo came in at sub full HD with frame rates varying frame rates. Most of the time it was sub 30. I mean, in smaller areas with not much going on and just a little bit of exploration, you'd have 30. But a lot of the time running around, it was sub 30. The majority of the time was less than 30. And then you have in combat, your frame rate is dropping to 5 because you're using techs. It was, depending on what they can do in the meantime and how long they have to do it, because who knows when the game's actually kind of come out at this point. Probably next year at the earliest, and maybe 2017, but I'd still say next year. But anyway, depending on what they can do in that time, because they're looking for a bump on resolution, because like I said, the demo is currently sub full HD, so it's not running at 1920 with 1080. But they are aiming for that for the full game release. Now, they haven't said anything about frame rate, but what they showed off and all on E3 and all that shit was 60 FPS. It was clearly 60 FPS to watch. And with how terrible these consoles are, they're not going to get it. So if they can shoot for 95% stable 30 FPS with 1080p, it would be a win. And I wouldn't consider it a full win, but consider what we have in the demo so far, I would consider it a big win versus the full game. So that's performance-wise, that's pretty much it. The graphics are nice. The graphics are very nice. They have big, open, expanded environments with very little loading times between them. There's really not any proper loading times between them. They're all hidden together, kind of thing. I mean, you'll be going into somewhere that will require a loading scene, and the game will stop and forcefully bring up a screen to make you, to hide the loading screen behind. So it's not too bad, even when the hidden loading screens are there. They're very minimal. So that's performance-wise pretty much about it anyway. Because like I said, with the way the graphics and all are, it looks pretty impressive. It doesn't. When you see the big full open areas, and you see, I mean, even when you summon Ramu, whatever you want to call him, it looks fantastic. But it looks, in the situation of summoning Ramu, it looks really fantastic. The problem is the frame rate again nosedives. So let's hope they can fix that, because that's going to be a bit of an issue, especially when it comes to a game that requires so much on the free flow, quick movement, quick reflex reaction time thing and all. Because trying to dodge and parry some attacks at sub 10 FPS is just impossible. So, I mean, even you have these big indicators, but it's impossible, because you see the indicator and everything happen on the screen. You're pressing the buttons, and with the input, it's just not happening. So that's pretty much that anyway. Story-wise, the story isn't on, I mean, there's very little in it on the story aspect of it, because you need a lot of context from before it, and what's going to happen after it. So story-wise in the demo, you're not looking at much. It's a nice, I don't know what you'd call it, maybe a tour, a nice story tour, little bit of info on the characters and all that. But please, that reminds me, please play it in Japanese, because I'm not one of those people who's like, oh my god, English does ruin everything. But I can't stand Noctis's English voice. The rest of the voice actors are fine, but Noctis just sounds like a fake, bratty, emo teenager. It's diabolical. I mean, I can put up with the comical characters more than I can put up with this. So, I mean, Japanese is most likely the way to go in this one. That's pretty much it. I've gone over everything. Well, everything I felt like discussing anyway. The systems are fine. The what's it called? The camp system / food system / level up system. It's all very similar, because they fit in together. You accumulate XP through all your fights and quests. Then you camp every so often, and that's when all your XP is tallied up, and you level up through that. So you could be playing for half an hour and never level up, and then you go hit the camp, then all your XP tallies up, and bang, you've just gained 10 levels. I know that's what just happened to me earlier. you have a food system as well that, depending on what Ignis cooks, it gives you different benefits, different boosts and all that kind of thing. He's basically your butler, so he's skilled and all that kind of stuff. So he has the high quality foods and all that stuff. Food systems work very well in other games. The Tales of games come to mind. They had a very, very well done food based system in all their games, and that worked out well. So it's nice to see. Nice to see it in Final Fantasy 15. Hopefully, in the full game, they're going to have a more customizable and a way, way more expansive system of it. But it's on the right track anyway. So that's pretty much the entire thing. I'll leave it all at that because that's really, I feel like I've covered the important aspects of the demo at least anyway. So I'll just, as a quick reminder, combat needs a serious improvement. Performance, I'm holding out for. Because the demo has been confirmed to be not indicative of the full product because it's not finished. So let's hope that improves anyway. I want to believe it will, because it benefits everyone, benefits the players, and it benefits Square Enix for putting out a product. So let me know in the comment section below how your experience with the Final Fantasy 15 demo is. If you wanted to play it, if you did play it, if you like it, if you don't like it, if there's certain things you do or don't like about it. If you're holding off, let me know anything about it down below in the comment section anyway. So, excuse me. Yeah, we've already covered the comments. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You can follow me on Twitter because that's starting up, and we've already hit subscribe. Hint, hint. So I'll see you on the next video in my channel.